Finding UK property investment hotspots is the key thing to make sure your buy-to-let investment is a success. But the thing is, it's like backing a horse. You don't know which one is going to come in right. And the idea is that you need some key criteria to make sure you're making the right buy-to-let investment for 2022. So if you want to know what that criteria is, then stick and watch the rest of this video. One of the most important things you need to look at when investing in your hotspot is, does that actually match the criteria for your investment? So what I always like to do is start with the end in mind. Now, if we start with the end in mind, what are we really looking for? Are we looking for capital appreciation? Are we looking for the yield of the property? Are we looking to do particular strategies? For example, permitted development rights, HMOs. Does that area lend well to that kind of criteria that we have? And if it does, then that also narrows down the pool of places that you can then invest in. Because if it doesn't have those criteria, then you can automatically cross those out and then look at more key areas which do have your criteria in the first place. So what we're going to do is filter down the number of locations that you can have even further. And we're going to look at this specific criteria. First, we're going to look at the average return on rentals. Then we're going to look at the short-term return on yields. And then we're going to look at the long-term investment potential. And then next, we're going to look at the lowest number of vacancies and then the percentage of renters in the area. Some bonus criteria that we can look at is the local development plan. In the local development plan, they'll say any major developments that you have going on. So that's going to be from infrastructure, it could be new buildings they have planned, regeneration that they have planned for the area. So those are key things that you can look at in order to make sure that you're investing in an area that has actually got money getting pumped in and it's going to help grow the area as well. We can also look at employers. If we're looking at employers, we want multiple employers in the area and strong employers as well. So not just small businesses, but a mixture of small, medium and large businesses that are employing within the area. So you have multifaceted. So that means that they've got a good wide pool of people that they can employ, which obviously means more people then applicable for rental. The next thing I look at then is the facilities, the access and infrastructure to major facilities along with major cities. So I look at the infrastructure of the area. Can it quickly get to a major city? Also, have they got the facilities needed for the area, or have they got to constantly keep traveling outside of that area, which potentially let them move to an area closer to those kind of amenities that people need? And a key thing that I look at is, what are areas that are underperforming at the moment? So if we look at it, there's areas like cities, for example, for us, Cardiff. Cardiff is a major city that's performing, but do we think about the outside of that area? Are we getting benefit from the ripple effect? I have a local area near us that is near enough exactly the same prices as Cardiff now. And that kind of ripple effect is then going further out and going to other key areas surrounding that area. So we look at the places where a lot of people are commuting. So if you can find those areas, you could benefit from that upward trend in the market. Now, the most convenient thing to do is look on your doorstep. But does that really make sense if you live in an area where the house prices are just astronomical? I'm thinking the southeast of England, where house prices are particularly high, particularly London as well. Is that best place to invest? I'm not so sure. I would look further afield in that case, but if you have got an area and it does match out those criteria, and if you can invest closely, I think those are kind of areas that can be really beneficial because they also cut out travel time. I know a lot of people want to do everything remotely and they don't have to deal with it and it's all letting agent, but what I find is that early on when you don't know things and you don't have the right team in place, then if you're investing, you just jump right in, you can get burnt. So making sure if you are going to invest further afield, make sure you've got a team in place, make sure you've got people there who can help you out and make sure your investment is a success. And also, obviously, people that you trust, that's mostly important. But make sure that you are doing that, otherwise it can end your investment right there and it can go to a whole heap of headaches. Is there strong rental demand in the area? If it isn't, then that can cause other issues. So if you have long voids, then it doesn't really matter if you've got a good rental yield, because if there are no people in there for a long time, then you're not going to really feel the benefit of that, and the voids can kill it, because obviously then you continue on paying the mortgage, but you're paying out your own pocket with no income. So make sure that you have a place with strong rental demand where you could replace a tenant quite quickly. The next thing you need to do is, have you factored in every other expense? So we're thinking about management fees, your insurances, your mortgage. Are you still clearing good profit after all of these things have been considered? We also have to consider, is the population really growing? So are people moving to this area? Is it a sought after area that people want to be working in, living in, going to university in? Are those the kind of areas that people want to be in? That's what you need to understand. You can do a bit of research on that and you can find out, are those people migrating to the area? We get a lot of influx of people from outside of London now, and they go into seaside areas. It has seaside areas, quite a good investment at the moment, especially with the staycation boom as well. People wanting to get away from the cities. That might be also a good criteria for you to look at. Before we dive right in, let us know in the comments what areas are you invested in, or if you haven't invested in it already, then let me know in the comments what areas you're considering. It would really be interesting to find out what areas are people considering right now in 2022. My personal opinion on the top 5 investment areas in the UK is number 5 is coming in at Liverpool. The reason for that, obviously you've got Liverpool Football Club being in the Premier League and obviously in contendership for the Premier League title, but consistently that also brings in more people, so more people getting Liverpool on the map, and this kind of raising awareness of the area. The next thing is also it's got the most listed buildings outside of London. It's a key fact really, because you've got tourism wanting to go to Liverpool, obviously you've got the Beatles and everything like that. So it puts it on the map, and it's a nice place to go to, and it's a northern powerhouse in itself, I believe, and it's up and coming, and there's a lot of people flocking to Liverpool. But is that going to be the case that going to be remaining? We're not too sure. I think that Liverpool has been consistently growing, and I know that there's quite a lot of competition there to buy property, but I think that it is one of those things that you could consider and has some of the key criteria that we've discussed in this video. Next is Manchester. Now Manchester is one of my favorite because this is already a powerhouse in itself, but Manchester being one of those up and coming cities, I think that it's one of the cities that is really going to continue to grow, not only because obviously we talk about the football clubs and everything like that. Not just that. We're looking at the development for the area. Massive, massive influx of development for the area, which is consistently helping to grow Manchester as a city. So if we're looking at it, I think that although Birmingham is the second largest city in the UK, Manchester has got a lot more going on, and it's an investment area that I would definitely consider. We've got clients investing in Manchester quite heavily, and it's a real hotspot for international investment as well. Number 3 is ever stable Oxford and Cambridge, and I know it might be an expensive area, but it's giving consistent returns for the area, and that's what we love, is that if you are looking at a kind of set it and forget it strategy, where you know that the area is going to be continuously going up, you've got the universities, you've got Oxford and Cambridge Uni, you're going to have that student accommodation being very consistent, people staying in the area. Then you could think of the young professionals who are going to stay after they leave the universities. Then you also look at the proximity towards London. It's one of those key kind of areas that can get into London quite quickly, so I would say that this is consistently one of the top performers for us. Number 2 is South Wales, in particularly the surrounding areas of Cardiff. I know this might be biased, but the reason we're saying this is we're seeing unprecedented growth for the area, and not only that, the area is growing in terms of price, the rental demand is through the roof, and if you're getting the properties, they're not even up to the UK standards, so we've got a more margin to go in terms of getting that to the average house price, and that's one of the things that I see continuing on to the future, maybe for the next couple of years as well. Because it's kind of behind some of the key areas that you would then put a pin into London and have a good travel distance to, I think that it's one of those areas that could definitely go up in value. Go and check out one of the deals that we did where we show you the full before and after renovation, and we break down the numbers in the video so you can see exactly kind of returns that we're getting in South Wales. If you enjoyed the video so far, give us a like and a comment. It helps more than you'll ever know. Comment below, let me know what areas do you think are the top 5? If you got an idea of what you think is best top 5, then let me know in the comments below. Number 1, what we've got is Bristol, and I know although it's more expensive, it can be a consistent growth, and we're seeing a quarter of the population in Bristol renting. So really strong rental demand, and is one of those key cities that I said about, which has got a really good access via the M4 to London, which is also a key thing for us. And when we're investing, I love to keep close to the main access motorways so that we've got in and out access, and it also lends itself to holiday makers. And Bristol, I feel, is one of those ones that is going to continue to grow. It might be the second most expensive place outside London, but it is still a really good investment, as a solid investment area. With all that being said, really we need to look at the criteria again. How much money have you got to invest? What is your strategy? Is this going to be a kind of strategy that fits you? For example, for us, if we didn't have as much money to invest, would we then jump into Bristol? Or would we look at South Wales as another option, which is close enough to Bristol and is near a capital city to invest in? Where then that for us was a better option. But we would look at bigger projects and we would look at then moving to Bristol for permitted development rights, which you don't get in Wales. So things like that also make sure that you understand the criteria, what you want to get out of your investment, and then really do your own due diligence on the areas that I've given. If you're going to pick some, I would definitely suggest to really look out for the investment and if it fits that kind of strategy overall, because I think that people dive into key areas that people have spouted on hotspots, but don't really look at it on their own level and just pick out the top 5. What I want you to do is do that next level of due diligence to make sure that it really matches what you want and work backwards so that you know with the end in mind what kind of investment that you want to make and the kind of life you want for yourself overall, because ultimately investments facilitate the lifestyle that you want to lead, and if that does fit that, then it's a winner and that's an investment that you should choose irrelevant of the top 5. Just choose what works for you. Wait, we've got a bonus round where we've got 2 key areas that you should be considering for your investment hotspot. First of all is London. I know it might be an area that's particularly expensive, but London as a whole has been such a strong investment, and you know that it's the kind of investment that the whole UK is really based on. London grows, the rest of the UK grows. If London goes down, the rest of the UK goes down. So if you're looking at that as an investment, look back to 2008 and the credit crunch. What happened? London bounced back first. And if you are investing in an area and you want an easier time in terms of making sure that you're making the right investment, London I would bank on, because you're basically banking on the UK doing well. Second, but definitely not least, is Newcastle. Now, Newcastle is seeing a massive growth because of the football club being purchased by one of the wealthiest people in the world, and not only that, now making it the richest football club in the world. And being as football is the world's sport, then we're seeing an increase in that. But overall, if you've got the richest football club, you can certainly buy. So for the long-term investment, where we're going to see Newcastle potentially becoming a Manchester City, so it's going to be overall a good investment if you're investing in the area. I don't think they're going to back out of Newcastle right at this point. They're going to invest more money, and we're going to see Newcastle be put on the map once again. If you had your worries about investing in South Wales, go and check out our recent purchase right here, where we're getting all of our money out with an amazing yield on the property.